becomes minor. Supertonic becomes diminished. Have to add the natural. Oh, we can't do that. We have to rewrite this just a bit because. Does anybody see what happened when we made it minor in the tenor that we cannot do? What convention are we going against there? Augmented second. We can't have an A flat go up to a B. We can have an A go up to a B, but not an A flat. So let's see. We'd have to redo this anyway because now we have a diminished triad. So what's the convention for writing a diminished triad? We have to double the third, yeah. Before we said we could double the root third or fifth. And let's see, what else we need? We have D, F, and we need the A flat. Oh, so we have a slight problem here in that.
A flat.
Tenor is the part we need the A flat, so we'll probably have to take the A flat there.
What was the problem?
Oh, the note that we need now is an A flat, and if we write an A flat in the tenor, we have that augmented second to the B natural. That's why we were kind of rewriting it. So, let's see.
D, F, A flat.
And here. So where's the B flat?
A flat.
When we get that works.
Dr. Lucas, I have a question.
Yes.
The rule is if the soprano goes up, everything else comes down. I mean, the bass goes up, everything else goes down, correct?
That's only if it's root movement by step,
Okay.
like a subdominant to a dominant.
Isn't that a step there from the F to
It's
the
an inversion of a step.
Yeah, but
Oh.
we're talking about, we're talking about the root movement by step would be a subdominant to a dominant.
Okay, so we only have to be concerned about that if it's the root movement.
Yes.
In the bass?
Well, if the
Well-
bass goes up, then the top voices
Okay,
should come.
because I was looking at this and the one, the tenor goes down, but the other two stay. So that's one contrary motion, but two similar motions, right?
Yes.
And that's why it works.
Yes. If kind of the last ditch effort is similar motion, but just make sure no parallel.
Actually, it's contrary to the bass. Or oblique.
Yeah, obliques when they're going in opposite directions.
Oblique is when one stays on the same note
Oh.
and another one. Now, I want to, question?
No.
Okay, I want to say something about this flat nine, this lowered nine. It is such a neat sound. It was such a great sound to the late Romantics. So if you're in minor, you get this. It's the nine. That some of them said, what if we're in a major key? Could we still flat the nine? Like a change of mode,
Right.
like borrow that. And the answer is yes. So sometimes you'll be in C major. And hear this. So if you happen to be in a major key, but the ninth is flatted from what the key signature is, that's just a change of mode. You can put the CON with the circle around it. And they're just borrowing that from the minor, because they like that half step.
Oh, and the fifth's not there.
Right.
Giving the sound of the major triad.
Well, no, fifth, even if the fifth were there, it'd still be the same.
But you'd have different quality. Tone quality.
the root of the dominant, the root third,
Mhm.
fifth, and seventh are the same in the major and the minor keys.
Right.
So
Huh.
the only thing you'd really need to change,
I
to do a
understand.
change of mode would be.
I understand that, but I just think
But you're right, they would leave out the fifth. So it would be,
if it wasn't there, you'd have it sound, you could put in it, it might not sound as dramatic.
that is a wonderfully dramatic chord there. And it was the Italian opera composers that really milked it for all it was worth. I mean, you cannot listen to a Verdi or Puccini without hearing that. Almost every dramatic art, there's that flat nine. All of the composers whose name ended in a vowel in the Romantic period used that. Okay. Bottom of page 310. Let's see. On the top of page 311, they give you some suggestions for writing the ninth. Like I put two on the board. It's bottom of page 310, top of page 311. But to tell you the truth, I'm not assigning it. It's not all that difficult. Plus, he doesn't seem to give us any assignments that need a ninth after this. So unless you want to use one in a project, your next project, you could try one in a project, but he doesn't actually give you any more homework where you try it.
No, we didn't write a suspension in there in the soprano, did we?
No. But he's saying it looks like a
Right.
suspension figure. Don't get confused with where he says the ninth introduced as a suspension, as a passing. Remember, that's the same way the seventh is introduced.
Right.
So, as if it could have been a non-chord tone. So, I don't know, when you start saying that as a suspension, I worry that you're going to say, you could circle things and say it's a suspension. I would rather have you analyze it as a ninth suspension. Right, now on page 311, he talks about the ninth chord in the harmonic sequence. Now, does anybody remember when we talked about the seventh in the harmonic sequence? Let's think of the atomic progression for a moment. The root movement by fifth. What did we say about putting a seventh, or using sevenths in
You
there?
could assign one to every
Yeah,
triad.
you can assign a seven to every single triad, and because of that strong root movement, we accept the seventh, whether or not it's diatonic or whether or not the voice leading goes the right way, doesn't matter. So we can kind of. We can just put those sevenths in there, and it's okay. Now, the ninth is not quite the same. Can't think of an example with a string of ninths. However, this works really good. The composers found this. Alternate ninth, seventh, ninth, seventh, ninth, seventh. So if you want a string of them, alternate. Make one ninth, one a seventh, one a ninth, one a seventh. Let's see, So that's one's a seventh, the next one's a ninth, one's a seventh, the next one's a ninth. And why not all ninths? It's harder to do the voice leading. It's harder to get to resolve to the next word. But when you go from a ninth to a seventh and back to a ninth, it's fairly easy to learn.
So you technically could do all nines, but it would just be a lot of work.
Yeah, it'd be hard to figure out how to get the voice leading to work. And we can see how on page 312. We can take a look. This is actually a playing assignment if you want to play ninths on a keyboard. But if you look at figure 1024, there's an example. You have a tonic, supertonic 9 to a 5/7, tonic 9 to a 4/7. Now, take a look at this wonderful voice leading. So your soprano is going mi, re, do, ti. It's just going down the scale, repeating it on the octaves. The soprano's doing the same thing, so they're paralleling each other.